all, welcome. This is again Clarins testing, but I happen to love the brand and they are kind enough to send their products as PR, so I'm really excited. I have been testing at least 2 Clarins foundations before and then eyeshadows and blushes. I will link those videos below. But today there is several new products. First of all, the new Everlasting long wearing and hydrating matte foundation. I am not a matte foundation person, so I'm very excited to see if this one will turn my opinion towards the matte foundations. Also, they released a new concealer. This is called Everlasting Concealer. Surprise, surprise. Long wear and hydration concealer. Interesting to see those. Usually Clarins concealers have been too dark to me, but there is new shades, so this should be alright to me. Well, actually you can see okay. But then there is not 1, not 2, but 6 new eyeshadow palettes, well, quadrats. These are beautiful. I will show you all the shades now, but I'm not going to swatch all of these as I'm not sure yet if I'm going to keep all of these or give some of to my friends and family. But I have to say, by looking at these, I might just keep all of these because they seem to be so perfect for everyday makeup. But that's about it. Let's get first into the eyeshadow palettes. I will show you the close-ups, the names and everything, and then you can see the application of foundation, concealer, eyeshadow, and also actually forgot there is a 4th new product, which is eyebrow product. There is a eyebrow duo, there is a powder side, and then there is eyebrow mascara. So all of the 4 new items will be tested in this video. So let's get into it. We have number 1 Fairy Tale Nude palette. And this is very pretty, kind of peachy mauve toned, definitely everyday palette. Then number 2 Rosewood palette. And this is all looks like satiny shimmery shades, so no matte shades in this one. I think this is pretty perfect one and done kind of shadow palette. Then number 3 Flame palette. This is orangey, kind of purplish orangey. There is pinky light shade and then orange. Kind of rosy shimmery, 2 mattes, 2 shimmers. Number 4 Brown Sugar. There is 1 matte shade, 3 shimmery shade. These are brownish and a little bit of golden as well. Then number 5 Jade. This is, as you can imagine, a bit greenish. There is also a little bit of kind of dark blue. All shimmers in this palette. And then number 5 Midnight. There is all shimmers, really blue one. I think that is matte. And then there is silvery grey shade, so definitely something for this season. Face has been washed and moisturized, and I will add some primers because I always do wear primers, and this is how I know if it's going to work, as I would always do. Current primer I've been using for a couple of months now is the ByTerry CC serum. This is the shade 1. Just 1 pump, and I usually use it to my dry areas, which is cheek, forehead, and then what's left to chin. As it's winter, my skin is really dry, so I will also use this kind of moisturizing spray, also something I usually do, but because this is matte foundation, I'm pretty sure this would look quite horrible if I don't do this step. So Bobbi Brown Primer plus Hydrating 3-in-1 spray. And then I kind of gently pat it to my skin, so there isn't anything kind of really wet areas on my skin. Also, as I am curious to see, I have the Clarins Pore-blurring mattifying primer. I've been using this for years, every now and then, mostly in summertime, and as this is matte foundation, I don't need any mattifying, but I want to test a little bit to one side of my face, and I'm always using this sort of primers to next to my nose and a little bit to my chin as well, but so half of my face. I know already that a really small amount of this product is enough, so don't use too much. Then to the actual thing, the shade I'm using is 0.3N. I got this as PR, so I'm not 100% sure if this is the right shade, but at least should be quite close. It comes in a glass package, really high end as Clarins tend to be. There is this little cut in the lid as they have, and pump. The color does look a bit pale, but we can warm it up. Formula is pretty thick. It starts to move a little bit, but not much. Very much looks like we are going to be very pale today, but we can manage. It's winter. Anyways, yes. Anyway, it's winter in Finland, which means that it is now, I think, 20 to 3, so the sun is already going down. I have some errands to do today, so anyway, I will be in darkness basically when I go outside. The brush is Smashbox Blurring foundation brush, which I use pretty much always. First impression. It's definitely not a glowy foundation. It feels like it dries really, and it does dry actually really quickly. You don't have a lot of time to blend it, at least with the brush. This might be one of those which are great with makeup sponge, wet sponge, but as I am always a brush girl, I will try with brush. Usually then, if there is any problems with even layers or something, I will go over with sponge, but we'll see. It is fairly easy to blend. Oh dear, I look so white. In real life, actually, in camera it looks like I'm a ghost. In real life, it looks like I can actually save this situation. That blurring primer did actually help a little bit. As this does dry really quickly, it kind of didn't fill up the pores on my nose, so I can see the black dots on my nose. And then it does look makeupy. It's more coverage and more matte than I'm used to, so it looks kind of a little bit scary to me. But if I would be going to matte, even kind of satiny sheen foundation, this would be pretty much what I'm looking for. Not a full coverage, at least for now. You can see still my clown tears here, and there is a little bit of these areas where I can see, and for example this little pimple here is still visible. Even though I am definitely not full coverage lover, I will try to build it up a little bit on these areas. What I do in situations when there is these black holes on my nose because the foundation hasn't been pressed in, I take my concealer brush, a little bit of what's left of the foundation, and then kind of press it in. It hasn't been this tricky to fill my pores with foundation in a long time. Interesting. I do have matte and full coverage foundation, and even those haven't been this difficult. Let's go to the concealer. The concealer comes in a squeezy tube. This is shade 100, very light. I am actually really happy to see that Clarins has these pale shades, as before I feel like I haven't been able to find light enough, or the lightest shade is just enough light. So I have a little bit of the concealer in my plate, and then I'll go in with the Zoeva concealer blender brush. I just take a little bit to the brush. I rarely put anything from tube to my skin. Shade is quite yellow based, but a little bit goes a long way. I did take a little bit too much, so I will blend it to my eyelid as well. I usually wear concealer as eyeshadow primer, so I will do that to this eye, and then I will take a little bit less to the other eye and see if my normal concealer, which I use for eyeshadow, works better or not. This seems to be also quite matte actually, as I have been quite luminous lover lately. It's definitely more matte than I usually wear, but it definitely does brighten my under eye area. It doesn't cover the darkness here, so I will add a little bit more, but it does reflect from the light beautifully. My regular concealer, which I use as an eyeshadow primer, is the Revolution Conceal and Define, the original one. And as you can see, just a little bit. I do powder just a tiny bit next to my nose. Even though this is matte foundation, it is still something I always do, even with matte foundations. Then the third one, Brow Duo. This is shade 01 Tawny Blonde. This is an interesting product. There is this kind of powder thing, a bit wet I think, very powdery, and then on the other side there is brow mascara. Shade is a lot more blonde and light than what I usually wear, but for this look, when I swatch it to my hand, it looks like a little bit too fair. I was afraid that it wouldn't show, but actually it does look really nice. Definitely not as kind of exact as a pencil is, so I need to little bit, with my trembling hands, I need to be a bit careful with this. I am able to do pretty nice natural looking brows, so looks good. Good enough for me. I am not a person who seeks the perfect brows all the time. Then a little bit of this mascara on. Brow mascara is something I rarely use, mainly because I just forget it every time when I'm doing makeup. Oh, what's happening? Yeah, there's too much product. It definitely leaves a lot of product to your brows. It's too much. Oh crap. What is happening? Oh, brow disaster. Way too much product. Well, I hope that when it dries, I can kind of brush it off with a dry brush. Now that there is less product in this brush, it's easier to use. But definitely, like, I don't like myself the look where you brush your eyebrow hairs brush, but this seems to be a product you can do that if you look that kind of look. Okay, I'm able to be really messy with this one, but it might be just me being unused of this sort of products. Then eyeshadow, there is 6 choices and they all look really gorgeous. I'm going to rule out the black blue one. I don't want to go there. Also not green, although there is green in my hair, but no. What shall we take? We have this gorgeous orangey kind of one, and then taupe gray is, yeah. And then we have the 2 fairy tale nude, and I think this is something rosy, rosewood. I think I'll go with the number 3 flame gradation. Oh, the mirror is really good. You can actually see your eye really easily from the mirror. Interesting. This one is more orangey, and then brown is quite peachy pink shimmery, and this rosy shimmery. So I'll start with the orange shade. I'll kind of use it as my crease, but let's see what it ends up being. At least really nice pigmentation. I will link all the brushes I use. No, not link, add my brushes below. Orange, kind of orangey in the pan. It is more kind of warm brown in eye, but there is definitely this kind of orangey, actually a kind of rosy hue in this orangey shade. Really pretty, really nice. And then same brush, the deeper brownish. Actually, I think this is quite, there is a little bit of plummy shade in this. Definitely an effortless shadows. I'll wipe a little bit off from the brush and then just blend the outer corner. And then I'll take this red, I think this is satin kind of shade first, and add it to the center of eyelid. And then same brush, other side, the lighter shade to the inner part of eyelid. Yes, this might be kind of 1 or 2 look palette, but really, really easy to use, absolutely effortless to use, so I have nothing bad to say. Little bit of the orangey shade, well, that was not a little bit, but anyway, to the lower lash line. And just a tiny bit of the deeper shade to the corner. Right, I will do my other eye and rest of the makeup, and then I'll come back. Right, this is the end result. I will put below the products I used for this makeup, but no problems with blush. I put a little bit of bronzer on the perimeter of my face and absolutely no problems. Although it is really matte, at least to me, it doesn't feel tight or dry or anything like that. So nothing has changed since putting my makeup on, so at least for now looks really good. It's now 3 o'clock, so I will go out wearing my mask, doing my errands. Hopefully I will remember to do a checkup of how this foundation wears, but at least first impression is really good. I'm not used to this kind of matte foundations, but if I would be going to matte foundation, this is something I would be looking for. So thumbs up so far, but let's come back to check-in now. Hello, good evening. It is now 9 o'clock. And I'm tired. Not a full day, but the makeup has been on for a full 6 hours. So I'm going to call it a day and do my check-in now. Yeah, sorry. What do we see? We see exactly the same eyeshadow. Nothing has happened. Even I went out and this eye tends to be quite watery. The eyeshadow lasted really well, so thumbs up. Brows, this brow gel really locks your brows in place. I can see that they are kind of stiff and there's not going to be any wind doing anything, and even accidentally touching my brows is not going to move it. So very interesting. If you're looking for that kind of product, you really want to check that. Concealer looks really great. It was matte in the beginning and now it has warmed next to my skin. It's still pretty matte, more like a satin silky look. Not creases, no. I'm 43, so I have lines, but it hasn't creased actually. I didn't powder it at all and it hasn't creased at all. It sticks to the place where I put it, so really good. And then the foundation, I think you can see there is a little bit of oiliness next to my nose, in my forehead. I have to admit, when I went to store, I wore my mask, and as I didn't set my nose in any way, and my nose tends to be a place where nothing sticks unless I use really sticky glue. It did rub off from my nose and a little bit from my chin, and I did reapply a little bit. Also because I wanted to see if I can reapply, for example, on the go, and I can. It worked beautifully. I used the same concealer brush which I used to pat it to my pores. I was able to fix it really well, and these parts next to my nose, which I didn't retouch at all, they look like a little bit oils are coming through. I wouldn't say still oily, they are just like medium glowy foundation would look in the beginning. So a beautiful finish still, and what is astonishing to me is that it's not dry at all. I hate matte foundations because my skin is so dry, especially this time of year, and this actually truly is hydrating matte foundation. My cheeks, which would usually look really dry at this point, are looking beautiful. They look flawless what comes, and forehead as well. Again, Clarins has created a new great foundation. For some reason I have such a good luck with Clarins foundations, and now with concealer as well. I will definitely keep using this foundation, especially when I want this more a bit matte. And if I definitely will test with the Suqqu Oil enriched powder to set the foundation and see how long actually I can wear it. And I've said so many times definitely in this video, so definitely am giving thumbs up to this foundation. Concealer, eyeshadow, and also the brow stuff. I'm curious to learn kind of how to use it. But that's about it. Now I'm ready to go wash this off, get my Saturday evening stuff ready, and then call it a day. But now I wish you have a great day and see you next time. Bye bye.